Well, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes. So first and foremost, let me say, you have exceeded our expectation because we set out for 40, and it's not that we didn't think people would come, but often we know how busy things are at, and it's a beautiful night. We know there's a soccer meeting tonight. You know, a lot of things going on in the community, but we are so pleased that we are trying to find seats for folks, and that we do have some open chairs, and this is a pretty informal setting. So please don't hesitate to squeeze in, and if we need to get more seats, we'll accommodate that as well. So, but I do want to just welcome you to this evening, and it's important that we provide you this opportunity because we want you to leave this evening feeling good about your students, our school district, and more specifically, New Tech High School. And I'm going to go into a little bit about why we're here tonight. And if you know anything about me, you're going to know that I try to be as transparent and honest as I always can because I believe in open and honest communication. And I'm the first one to say, let's talk about the elephant in the room. And that's what has brought us here today. But we also want to use this time to share some information about where we're going because our end goal is to not only keep New Tech as viable as it has been, but to strengthen it, to let it grow, to make it better in each and every way. And hopefully by the time you leave us in about an hour or so, and our goal is just to keep you here for an hour, that you'll leave with that feeling. We're also going to have an opportunity to ask questions. So we have a lot of folks here who can answer your questions, and so please don't leave with unanswered questions. Even if you need to kind of stay after and pull one of us aside to address your concerns or questions, please feel free to do that. So, first and foremost, my name is Rick Todd. I'm the superintendent here at Pinckney Community Schools, and I think let's go around the room and we'll kind of spread out a little bit and make sure you know who we have with us this evening. And you want to go ahead and start?
I'm Matt Jerome. I'm the program coordinator for New Tech, and I've also taught here in Pinckney for 12. This will be 13 years. 3 of them at New Tech and 9 at Pathfinder.
My name is Diana Beal, and I'm the new Tech director, filling in for Steve Keskis. And this is my 10th year at Pinckney Community Schools. And I've enjoyed teaching English at all levels and being the district instructional coach for adolescent literacy, working in 3 different buildings. And then also previously assistant principal, and then doing the New Tech director and assistant principal position again this year.
I'm Tom McCurdy, and I can't film myself.
Before we go, I gotta let you know, we're filming it. I have to get a disclaimer out there to make sure you know.
Yeah.
Because first and foremost, I don't want to interrupt Tom, but I am. We know a lot of parents couldn't be here, so we wanted to make this information available to everyone. Because once again, you're kind of a smaller portion of the greater good, and so our job is to provide this information to all our parents in the community schools. So that's why we are videotaping, and it'll be available on our website. Go ahead.
So I'm Tom McCurdy, Assistant Superintendent for Instruction Assessment and Technology, and have been probably New Tech's biggest fan since its very beginning.
I'm Jim Dargan, high school principal. Since we're talking longevity, I'm in my 20th year as high school principal here, which is the county record, by the way. The Pinckney record was 8.
Oh, hi. I'm Julia Leslie, and I'm the school development coach for the New Tech school here, and which means that I work for New Tech Network, the organization. And I taught in New Tech school first before becoming a coach for a good majority of New Tech schools in the state of Michigan, as well as other places in the Midwest. And so I'm also right home before.
But looking at my house.
We won't hold the case.
I live right off Hamburg Road.
Okay, so that's so, and Julia's a great resource for us. So once again, welcome, and you're going to get a chance to hear from each and every one of us throughout this presentation. So let me just give a little bit of background. The first item on the agenda is just about New Tech and the future. But before we get into that, let's talk a little about New Tech in the past. Can I just ask really quick, how many parents here are first-time New Tech parents? Just kind of curious, how many are first-timers? So that would leave. Okay, so the rest of them are veterans, sort of say. So obviously, New Tech has been an extraordinary program we've been able to facilitate, house here in Pinckney, and so much so that it's become a model institution throughout New Techs throughout the state and even throughout this country. We have a lot of pride in what our staff has been able to accomplish in a very short amount of time. Even more importantly, we are very proud of the work and the development of our kids over this period of time. This year, we have our first graduating class of students who have now going to be the first group that have gone 4 years through the program, and we're excited about that. And I know New Tech, that was it? Oh, But yeah, this graduating class is the first group that we will have in terms of 4 years, from freshman all the way to senior, going through the New Tech program. I have also been a very big supporter of New Tech. I've had an opportunity to learn about New Tech, not only just because I work in the district, but just working very closely with Jim and with Steve Keskus over the years, with Tom McCurdy, to the point of last year I think I brought 15 to 20 of my teachers, I was principal, to visit here so they could see and learn about New Tech, because we wanted to start taking pieces of that model and start implementing as much as we could at the middle school level in terms of project-based learning. Actually went on a trip to Decatur, Indiana last year, where they had New Tech High School, but also New Tech Middle Schools, to start exploring that model. As I applied and was interested in the superintendency, one of the key things our board wanted was to build consistency and carry on a vision for our district. And they knew, bringing me into this role, that I would be a big supporter and advocate of New Tech, that I had no ambition to ever change it, to modify it, to get rid of it. And first and foremost, I live in this community, and I talked with a lot of you, and I said, this program can never go away because you, the parents, have high expectations. It has now gotten to a point where we have seen the results of our kids, not only academically, but when you talk to them, when you see them interact, when you see their self-confidence grow, when you see their interpersonal skills grow, that we know the benefits of this program. And there's no way it's going away. And our board heard that from me very clear during the interview process. And so, as we progress through the summer, we endured a lot of change. If you look around this room, you're going to see a lot of transition from myself being number one, to Mr. Jerome in his role, to Diana Beal welcoming back to the administration here at the high school, and even to April Woods, who's not with us this evening, but she's assistant principal here as well. So we endured a lot of transition. And Mr. Keskus and I had a lot of dialogue. And when we're going through the process of Dan Donosky leaving, I knew in the back of my mind, boy, you know what? New Tech is a priority. And Steve had very high ambitions to kind of further his career. And you can't blame anybody who wants to kind of be a superintendent someday. And Steve Keskus, that is his ultimate goal. He wants to be a superintendent. And when you are in a New Tech directorship, you get the opportunity to build your skills to a place that most of us educators just don't get that opportunity. The New Tech Network is a great organization in supporting the learning and development of leaders. And Steve had an opportunity to become, one of the most remarkable people in education. And that holds true to all New Tech directors. The evidence is there's 9 New Techs in this state, not one original director is there anymore. They have all moved on. They haven't just left New Tech, they have moved on in terms of their career because they have grown. And the one thing that, just talking with some folks in the New Tech Network, is the one flaw in the design that all New Techs have been challenged with is we put all our resources and time into one director, is that when they left, there was no one with capacity to step right in to take that spot. That's not a Pinckney problem, that's kind of just a systems problem in terms of the New Tech, because there is a lot of time and money put into training for the New Tech director, and every kind of program is kind of dealing with the same thing. But when Steve left to go to Clio and take on the central office position, that allowed us an opportunity to kind of fix that problem. Here in Pinckney, the one thing, despite all the changes and challenges we have to overcome, we take advantage of every single one of those by saying, what opportunity can we do to improve on our current practice? How can we take this negative of a leadership change and add it to be a benefit for New Tech? And so we started dialoguing, how do we make that work? And hence, we said we need to build kind of a team of New Tech administrators, not one person. Because no program should be dependent on one person. It's the structure of the program that makes it successful. Yes, the people are important, but it's not the people, because people do change. They move for a variety of reasons. It's the structure of the program. And having Mrs. Beal show such a sincere interest, as soon as she left, she said, I want that New Tech directorship. And because she's had some experience, and if you've known Diana, the passion she brings, and the love for teaching and for learning, and she's a master teacher in her own right, we thought, boy, is that such a good fit. But we also know and realize that she's got a lot of responsibilities on top of being a director. How do we replace that Steve Keskus component of being on the floor with the kids each and every day? How do we replace that person who's going to make those connections with internships, with the colleges, with all those pieces that just take a lot of time? And so that networking piece, the phone calls, the meetings, the driving to businesses, the sitting down with kids, because we just knew, you know what, Diana is good, but she just doesn't have that much time. I think you have enough energy, but just not the
Well,
time.
we're going with it from 4 administrators to 3
Right.
administrators.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's where, I mean, that's the reality.
Right. And so along this whole line, we're talking to Steve. We're calling Steve, we're having conference calls saying, you need to help guide us through this. And who do you think would be somebody who can step in and has a lot of knowledge and training and expertise who would fill those? And that gentleman standing to my left. He said, Matt Jerome. Matt Jerome is a person that can step into my shoes and kind of take that piece on. And we felt comfortable with that and talking to Matt, and he really was excited about the opportunity for us to free his schedule up without costing the district any more money. We did some maneuvering with staffing, because we couldn't add up any additional cost. And then free him up where now he is a teacher leader assuming a lot of those duties. And then we said, well, Jim's the principal of the building. All right, he needs a role in UTEP because this is his school. It is Pinckney High School along with UTEP. And they are joint forces all working for the same common good and goal for all our kids. And so Jim said, you know what, I'm already working with universities and I'm partnering and I'm working with Google Enrollment. This is something that I want to continue on. And I want to help support UTEP with that role. I want to help support UTEP with scheduling, with staffing. And because honestly, we need to be as creative as we can in this day and age. Really tight resources to maximize every single resource we have. And I say resource becoming teachers in terms of their time and availability here at Pinckney High School. So we really felt comfortable saying, okay, Jim is now playing a role here at UTEP. Diana is playing a role here. Matt is playing a role here. And so we're creating this kind of layer, but we're like, well, what does UTEP think about this? We better bring them in and ask them, because we want to make sure we're on the right track. And so we did that. And we laid out our plan to UTEP, and they said, this is phenomenal. This is exactly what I think other schools should model. And they really felt comfortable for us moving. If they said, no, this isn't going to work, we wouldn't have moved down this road. It was with the guidance and support of the UTEP network, which we have great respect for, to help guide us and really kind of say, yes, you need to go forward with this. Now, with any kind of transition in leadership, there is going to be some bumps and some slowdown in the road, because it's a learning curve for all of us and for the kids. And as we progressed, let's be honest, we heard UTEP is going away. It's dissolving. All these kids are leaving. They're just getting out of UTEP. Jim Darga does not support UTEP. Let's talk about it. I heard that. You heard that, Jim?
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'm going to be honest. Pinckney High School, they don't support it. It was all Steve Keskis, and nobody else really gives a rip about UTEP. Ladies and gentlemen, that is so far from the truth. And part of that is our fault. How we structured things in the past was on us. We put too much on Steve. It's kind of like a minister in a church, where everything is on the minister, and then when the minister leaves, people leave. It's not the church, it's the minister they're buying into. We don't want kids to buy into one person. It's the structure of the program. It's the structure of the program that's going to benefit them in the long term. So I take full responsibility of what we kind of set up in terms of some of these rumors, because we put it all in one person. And when that one person left, then all the rumors kind of started trickling down about this new text no more. And this is what people think, and this is what people feel. And so we pulled together and said, this isn't okay. And I was having individuals, a lot of you, some of you in this room, emailed me, called me, and I shared this information over the phone or via email. And they said, thank you very much. But it wasn't really doing a job one at a time. So I said, we need to gather folks up. We need to get people in the room. Let's be honest with them. Let's talk about what we envision for the school year, and let's answer their questions. And so we can move forward for the rest of the school year, and not only this year, for the years to come. So that's why we're here this evening. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jim, who is going to talk a little bit about the leadership structure and what that looks like and what we've already seen occur during the school year. And we'll move forward from there.
Actually, pretty much covered 80% of what I was going to cover, so I'll be real brief. You know, every summer, I've been doing this a long time. Every summer I joke with my fellow administrators that I always expect 2 surprises every summer that I didn't expect, didn't anticipate. Well, there was a whole lot more this summer. And, with budget cuts, we had to reduce one administrator at the high school. We knew that was coming. And so Cheryl Meyer was an outstanding math teacher. She went back to her classroom, so that actually was a benefit that way. And so Steve, Eric, Ray, and I, we sat down a couple of times towards the end of June, started talking about how we're going to function together and how we're going to make everything work. And we felt pretty comfortable with that. You know, 3 veteran administrators, we should be able to, you know, shoulder the load. We're fine with that. You know, so you know, I have to write the August newsletter in June. So I wrote all that up, how things are going to be different. This is what we're going to do. Secretary seal up all the envelopes. It's got all the registration materials come in. And when August came around, there were so many changes in the envelopes already. We normally mail those actually in July, so everybody has time for registration. But we actually have to hold off because the liability forms hadn't been printed yet. So as soon as the secretaries got the liability forms printed, they stuck them in their mail. I said, we just sent out about inaccurate information. So I did send out a retraction email. I'm not sure how many people actually read it. So I'm thinking, okay, well, we have to have a new plan anyway. So, you know, with all of you, you get vacations from your jobs, you look forward to that time, you get to relax, recharge. And on my first, I get 2 weeks off. On my first day, July 17th, first Steve calls me to tell me he's taking the cloud job. An hour later, my auto mechanics teacher, he calls. Then a few days later, I found out Ray's taking the Pathfinder job. And my Spanish teacher didn't come back from Germany that we were planning on. It was just one thing after the other. Okay, so we really had to scramble. And even though the school year didn't start off as particularly smooth as I always like to see it, it was better than I almost anticipated. We actually got almost everybody in place in time. The alternative education people, we needed, you know, those folks, those 2 teachers didn't come back. We had a distance learning lab person that we hired. I brought people in to train her. She resigned the first day before school started. So it was like, just, okay, this isn't going well. But, you know, if everybody works hard, works together, things come, eventually we'll smooth out. And that's, we kind of playing out now. But anyway, this is the organizational structure that I gave to the staff at our opening day staff meeting. And as an exercise every August, the administrators, we get together and talk about what worked last year, what didn't work, what do we have to improve on, how do we, you know, what responsibilities need to be adjusted, that type of thing. We do it every year. You have to go through that exercise. And this year was far different. And I'm just going to show you what we went over with the staff. Because they need to also know, you know, how things are going to work. So, right after I got those 2 initial phone calls on July 17th, you know, I'm starting to scratch my head thinking, okay, how are we going to handle this? And Diana called me at home, and she came over, we sat on my deck while I was painting the house. Didn't look like the principal that day.
That full beard going.
Hanging all over me. So we talked for a couple hours, and we came up with some good ideas. You know, I gave Matt Jerome a call. He said, can I get back with you? A few days later, he came down. Yeah, he was at a basketball tournament. So I said, well, here's what I'm thinking, Matt. Noodle it around and call me back. So he did. And so we started doing some interviews. And we just started, you know, meeting and talking about how this could all fit together. And we came up with what we think was a really good plan. And what you have to understand also, Steve did a great job, but he didn't do it alone. I mean, he did have a tremendous amount of support. A lot of that support's still in place. One of the things that's impressed me with the New Tech program is the network itself, the foundation. I've been in this business 32 years. I've never seen any initiative that was so well supported and so well coordinated on a national level. That support was there when we started this. It's still there now. You know, we've got people on staff that are certified national trainers. We know we had that resource to tap into. So it's not like there was this huge vacuum out there that we had to fill. In fact, there were other people doing things behind the scenes that just as a support piece. So I'm going to walk through that a bit. But what we have to do, I've got to coordinate the responsibilities, just not with administration, but other people on staff, with the counselors, social workers, all the other people on staff to make sure all the responsibilities are going to be handled effectively and efficiently. So that's the first sheet there. It's got everything that we have to make sure is taken care of throughout the school year. On the back half is what we started developing as soon as we got the people in place as far as the New Tech high responsibilities. And some of these were just a natural fit anyway. And for example, like when Matt and I first started talking about his role, he really wanted to take a leadership role at New Tech High, but he didn't want to do it as a full-time administrator. Loves coaching basketball, got a passion for that. I respect that, that's great. We don't want to lose him as a coach. So we were able to work it into, okay, if you're not going to be a full administrator, how can we use you? So that's why I contacted central office almost immediately and said, look, okay, we can make some things work, but I'm going to have to get some release time for math. And I was hoping for an hour. That's really all I was really asking for. And central office did a great job, real creative thinking about how we can release it for the entire day. That was beyond my wildest expectation. I figured, that's awesome. We can make that work, really. So once we, and Diana, she'll talk a little bit about her background. She's got a tremendous background in curriculum development. She's a certified national trainer herself, a tremendous asset, not just our school, not just the district, but even our county. She does a lot of quality things. So we started putting our heads together, and then we put an initial plan together. We met with a core group of New Tech High teachers. I bounced it off and said, what do you think? And we went to a bigger group of New Tech High teachers. So just through an evolutionary process, we started putting a plan together where Diana is going to be like the connection with the network and do those kind of leadership things, where Matt's going to be more programmatic things, since he's entrenched daily in the New Tech High process. He understands the process. He's doing things on a national level too, which he'll talk about. And then for my responsibilities, I handle the budget for the entire school anyway. You know, I did it for New Tech High, I did it for CTE. There's all these different types of budgets I have to deal with, grant budgets and all that. And so I've done that for the entire school, and I've always made sure that whatever the teachers need, I make sure they get it. That's always been the case. We get real creative with it. Even though things get tighter and tighter and tighter, I don't think any teacher anywhere in any program would say there's something that they asked for that they really needed and didn't get. Okay, that goes for any program. So we've been real good about that. As Rick was talking about post-secondary options, I've got that relationship with, you know, all the post-secondary, most of the post-secondary, not all of them, but through the CTE programs, through AP classes, I'm always, that's what we do. As high school principals, you have to have that relationship all the way along. We talk with you of them all the time, those kinds of things, because you want to make sure that you're putting your school and the students in the best position for that transition to post-secondary. So you don't want to function in a vacuum. You have to know what their expectations are, and you have to try to meet them. So I've already got those relationships. We'll talk more specifically about that. Steve was doing some counseling pieces. He was doing some scheduling. You know, the counselors, we even talked about this back in June. The counselors knew they were going to pick up that piece, the actual mechanics of scheduling students in the classes. And since Matt is, he's not a certified administrator, and he's not serving an administrative role, we can't really have him do teacher evaluation. So Diana and I would do that piece. So we put a fair amount of thought into this, and we think we have a plan that's going to meet all the needs of the program, all the requirements of the foundation, and that we actually feel, I'll let Matt speak for it, but I think the teachers are very confident about the plan that we've got in place to support what their needs are. But do you have any questions about just the mechanics of how we're going to function? Oh, on next? Okay. All right. So I sent that initial letter out. I know there were a lot of concerns, just to talk about where we're at as far as coordination support for the program. Then when I got back I sent a second letter out because when I got back from vacation, one of the secretaries said, Jim, this is the list of, I think it was 54 students that are going to dual enroll with Washington Community College. That's great. Are we prepared for that? So I crunched some numbers, I sent it over to central office. I just want to let you know, it's not my budget, so you guys have to figure out a way to make this happen. You know, I'll get the classroom set up, I'll do all those kinds of things. So I figured this is a go. So somewhere along the line, Washtenaw contacted someone on staff, wasn't me directly, but said that there was only 2 students registered. How could that be? Well, did some legwork, did some research, trying to find out what's going on. I still don't know exactly what happened, but all I knew is by the drop dead date that Washtenaw gave me, we had 3 students registered for those classes. They said, sorry, and that was the Friday before the seniors registered. I said, if you give me one more day, you give me the Monday, seniors are coming in, I know we can get enough to make this happen. Sorry, this was the deadline. Nothing we could do. So that was that piece, and then with the Cleary University piece, they told us back in the spring, late spring sometime, I don't know when exactly, but late spring that they were going to not offer the direct credit for the college algebra and stats course, and it was Judaism, is the other one? Okay. Their explanation to Steve was it was going to create a problem for their endorsement, their accreditation. I'm going to take it at face value. We had another theory why they cut it. They were using it as a marketing tool. It benefited our students. That's fine. If it works, it works. But I don't think that enough students, our theory was, we don't think enough students went to Cleary after receiving those free credits to make it worth their while. That's just the theory. They said it's their accreditation. Maybe that's true. I don't know. So, first off, so once I found out we couldn't do the Washtenaw piece first semester, I started calling Washtenaw and talking to them. And this is what the students are going to receive tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to put one more piece to this. Actually, Washtenaw has been very accommodating. I've been working with, trying to have partnerships with different schools. And I'm going to tell you, 10, 12 years ago, it was nearly impossible. They were so inflexible, you couldn't get them. I mean, it was to be their way or just forget it. It's amazing how they've been much more accommodating, whether it's Washtenaw, Lansing, University of Michigan, Flint. We have a partnership with them countywide. So I talked to the Washtenaw folks. I said, okay, what do I need to do to make this happen second semester? So we've been having that dialogue. And we've got two courses. Well, there was two courses originally proposed. The horror and science fiction, and the other one was philosophy. They can't get a philosophy teacher by next January. So we're going with the composition class. So what we're going to do, I want it, in order for this to work, you got to have it step by step by step. So I put this first page together just kind of more of a survey that I'm going to get out to the students just to find out. I need numbers. I got to be able to communicate fairly soon with numbers to wash that out. Rough numbers, just an anticipated number. And then I put a packet together with all the dual enrollment forms that have to be completed on our end and for their end. And what I'm going to do, the last piece, before I want this in students' hands, what I'm going to do is I started thinking about, first off, there's no timelines on here. So I called Washtenaw and I said, you didn't give me a deadline when you needed to know. So they really don't need the students registered until December 20th. I'm going to move that up a little bit, because we all know, even adults, if someone tells me December 20th, I'll probably start thinking about it on the 19th. So I'm probably going to give them an artificial deadline. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a step-by-step. If you're interested to complete this first page, just get it into your counselor, just so we have a number. Second step,
What grades are open to do this?
11, 12.
11 and 12.
Primary, yeah. Actually, though, and that's what I just revised the new dual enrollment. This is our form that I developed, and it reflects all the changes in the Post-Secondary Options Act, which the dual enrollment law falls under. You can actually do it if you can, if you want to. Now I'm going to do all. So I'll put that together where I just need maybe within a week or so I'll create some kind of artificial one. I need like a week to get this initial form if you're just interested. And then I'm going to put in there, when you have to have dual enrollment form into your counselor, when you have to be registered. So I want it step by step by step. This is what you do, this is what's got to be done. Okay, then it should work. Okay.
If you already registered for this semester's one, do you have to go through that process again, or?
Now, if you registered with the school, you shouldn't have to. We only ended up with 3 students that actually went through the whole process. We looked at the other 3 that actually knew what was going on. All right, so I'm going to have that in place. I'm pretty confident this will work. And Washtenaw even, they sound real flexible as far as how many students we have to have. They started with, a hard number 15. They're down to like, if you get 12, we can make this happen. So I'm pretty confident we can do that. The direct credit piece, I'm working on that also. I put that in that, that's changed since that letter I sent out before. With Lansing Community College, the person I'm working with there, Howard Dillman, who I've known for years, universities it's interesting. They've got more bureaucracy than any organization, I think, that exists, working through them. So, when we were trying to put together the U of M Flint piece, oh my gosh, the hoops you had to jump through with their unions and their administration and all their different people at different levels. So Howard Dillman with the Lansing Community College, he's quite confident we can make a direct credit piece work with them. He's already talked to the head of their math department. He said he's got a green light there. He's working with their union. He thinks that that's not going to be a problem. So, but they move slowly. His timeline is he's hoping to have something that we can go with by the springtime for the following year. But he's pretty confident we can pull that off. So, but I'm also I'm trying to open it up to more classes too. So what we've got kind of a verbal agreement on is we're looking to establish direct credit with Lansing Community College at pre-cal and up for any classes that qualify. And those would be more transferable to pretty much any institution in Michigan. Yeah.
I heard you say direct credit and dual enrollment. Can you tell me the difference?
Yeah, one's immediately on your transcript. With direct credit, if you take that class, that would be taught by one of our teachers in our school during the regular school day. You're going to earn that additional credit at that institution just by being in that class and passing that class. So if this comes through, say for example, you're in a pre-cal class, it's 3 college credits, whatever it is, that's when they have to determine that. You would get that on a transcript. You might have to pay, $20 registration fee or something. But you would have, at the end of your permanent college transcript, you could take that anywhere. Where with dual enrollment, it's the same thing to a degree. With dual enrollment, as the name implies, what you're doing is you're modifying your workload, your school load. It's a combination of classes here and classes taught by someone else, a professor. So you're dual enrollment.
So the classes on this sheet that you pass out, are they here?
Those are going to be on campus.
Okay.
Yeah, and we staggered it, so 3 to 4:30, I thought it was a good time to give them a little break between the regular school day and then the start of the dual enrollment classes. Yeah, that'll be after school. And those classes will probably have some non-Pinckney High School students in it. I can't tell them not to. And that was an issue. When we first built this building, I talked to Lansing. We had kind of a tentative agreement to let them use an entire wing. The problem was, where I objected was, I'm going to have adults coming through this building at all times during the day, in and out, and I've got all these I'm going to be honest, all these young girls here too. How am I going to protect them from these adults who I don't even know who they are? I got a problem with that. So we didn't go down that road, but it was almost an option. We did look at it. We had a discussion about that. But this will be after school, and but there I can't restrict it just our students. That's part of the agreement. If there's empty seats, they can fill them with the adults from the community. So we've got those 2 pieces going on. I'm pretty confident we can make them both work. It's not just for our new tech students. We're going to try to open up to other students. So why not?
I've got a question. If I'm a parent thinking, if I'm staying after taking a class at 3 or 3:30, is that on top of my 7 classes already?
No. The way that works under the Secondary Options Act, that the school district does not have an obligation to spend more on a student's education than the foundation allows. That's the way it's structured. So, for example, if a student, Washington is relatively inexpensive, so we're pretty good there. And normally the way it works, it's a dual enrollment, it's a package, whereas if a student's taking one college class, then they have to eliminate one of their regular classes here. We're not going to push that to second semester because this is not really, the teachers already paid for it, frankly. This is going to cost the district a little bit of money. But the teachers on staff already paid for it. If you were doing a true dual enrollment, you'd do this in the spring and adjust your staffing allocation for your building accordingly. If you had 50 students going out for 2 hours a day, you'd reduce the number of sections you'd offer during the day. So that's even an issue like with the U of M program, which is a lot more expensive, but it's a great benefit. The students get 12 U of M credits that are transferable to Ann Arbor. And the problem is it's pretty expensive. So what U of M has done, they were actually pretty easy to work with. They looked at our foundation allowance and they said, okay, we know that they can't pay full tuition, so they adjusted their tuition rate, they reduced their tuition rate, they eliminated a number of fees, reduced the cost of books. They brought it down to a manageable expense to the family and the school district. Now those students, we've got 15 students that do enroll at U of M Flint, those students actually do reduce their number of classes they take in the afternoon so they can do that. So it came out to, for those students, I think it's like $500. You know, they get 12 U of M flip credits. It's a pretty good deal, actually. And then, but certain programs, they get criminal justice, biomedical, the law program, what's the other one? Engineering business, yeah.
And I'm just going to kind of piggyback on what you just said, you know, once again, trying to be open and honest. This is a struggle for public schools. I just met with the DEEP folks last week with the fellow county superintendents. It's a great program. And like you said, through U of M, and there's a lot of rigor with that. That's why the kids are there. The struggle that we're running into as public education institutions is that we have to pay for classes like the DEEP program. And although a family may pay $500, it's almost like a $3,000 fee for every student that's enrolled. And we are always in the process of not taking away learning opportunities for kids. And so what we're having this conversation is how do you sustain this and make it available to all kids, not just new tech students, I mean, it's available to all kids. And, you know, if you're running almost 1,400 kids, you know, we kind of get worried like, oh my gosh, this gets so successful, how are we going to support that? I mean, that's just the honest kind of dilemma we're in. It's great opportunities for kids to extend their learning, to take advantage, to just get exposure to the college rigor. That alone is a great benefit, the expectations. But yet then transfer those credits, especially from a place like U of M Flint. And kids are walking out of there with those type of classes. It's awesome. So we're in conversations, and the folks from U of M get it. They're like, yeah, you're kind of in a tough spot. And they have cut their tuition, like, I think it's 25%. They cut it. It is significant. And so they're trying to really help us out. But as we progress down the road, and things really, and I think they are going to go. Jim's going to do a great job, and we're going to look for as many opportunities. We as a district are always going to have to look at ways to make sure that we can support that, because we don't want to take opportunities away from kids. And that's just kind of a common, it's not just a Pinckney dialogue, but we, like I said, myself, Dan Nosky, ISD, and then the other four suits, we just had a conversation with the DEEP folks last week, because there are opportunities we want to make available to a lot of kids. I saw a hand though. Yep.
Well, I was just going back to what you said, is this on top of their schedule? It sounds like in the spring it is, but maybe in the fall they can arrange their schedule?
Yeah, if you do it far enough in advance. Right now the problem is, especially with our class sizes are higher, I mean, that's the reality for most school districts. So there's not a lot of movement in that schedule. So if I said to the student, the only way you can do this is if you drop, say, your first hour class and you can come in later, which a lot of students probably would like to do that. But the reality of it is, that first hour class might be a required class, and I don't have enough place to put them. So we may not have that flexibility. If a student wants to, I'm not having a problem with that at all. That's really the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah, originally when we found out there were 54 students possibly taking the Washtenaw, we got Steve on the phone and said, hey, have we adjusted our staffing for this? Because that's almost 2 sections.
Yeah.
And when we're crunching and seeing emails and, you know, kind of the struggles we're having here, we're watching every single dollar and every resource, and the answer was no, we didn't accommodate for that. So what that means is if we had almost 60 kids in college, we have allocated already 2 sections here for those that don't have kids in them. And that's where, if we know far ahead in advance, then we will then allocate our staffing. So it's almost kind of break even. That the kids are there. That's the way it's supposed to work.
So what I'm going to do for the future, I'll have this set up far enough in advance so we can make that adjustment. So I'll have, like for Washtenaw, I'm assuming we'll continue for 14-15 school year, I'll have this in place. So I get the students registered, say, by March, I would think.
Would there be other times rather than 3 to 4:30?
They're real flexible with us. This just seemed like it'd be convenient for the students. I know that if they're in sports, they're in drama, whatever their activities, it's a problem. So, you know, we're going to go with this. This is what they recommended. And we'll see. And that's why this first piece I want to get back right away, because if the time is an issue, maybe I should put that on there, that yes, I would like to, but I can't because of. Maybe include that on there. This is the first go around. And then forget that, because this is just like a commitment. Okay, yes, I'm interested. But I need to get this back right away so I can put the real structure in place.
You have a question?
Do they have to have the APT taken before they can do this?
No.
So that she could sign up for the dual role?
There's different ways to qualify. Yeah, she just needs to see her counselor. Doesn't look at grades and, you know, if she took the plan test in 8th grade, that type of thing.
Okay,
Yeah. It's a lot easier to qualify for dual enrollment than it used to be. And they've actually broadened the classes that are eligible for dual enrollment. It's not just anything. But it's less restrictive now than it's ever been. Because before it had to be just core academic classes that your school doesn't offer. Now it's, it's in the, I kind of spelled it out there, but it can't be theology, craft or a hobby class. And there's different ways to qualify.
But there's only 2 classes for this one.
Yeah, these are from Washington. Now, that's a really good point because we do have other students that are dual enrolled in other schools. We have students that will dual enroll with Eastern. We have had a couple of Michigan State, Schoolcraft Community College. If it ties into what they're interested in doing, we're required to pay for that.
If we can't provide that for
Yeah.
here.
Right.
So,
And the other piece of that, even if a student has a scheduling conflict, say they want AP calculus, 5th hour, but it's not offered that hour, 6th hour, well then, we're actually required to pay for it.
And the counselor will know what classes they need to have, because if she wants to do biomed,
Yeah.
the counselor will know here what she needs to have.
And if they don't, they'll pick up the phone, call the university.
In order to.
It helps a lot if the student knows what university they want to go to after high school.
Yeah,
That helps a lot. Not everybody does, not everybody knows what the major is going to be,
okay.
but you got that for you.
Michelle, before I get to it, just right, as Jim said, it is easier to take dual enrolled class. However, what we talked about last week in that meeting I referenced earlier is that superintendents across the county are seeing more kids struggle, and they're not successful. Because we have to keep in mind, these are college courses, college rigor. And when you remember going to college, you had, 3, 4 classes, they're spread out, and your life is a little bit different. Our kids are taking 6 classes, some 7. They're playing sports, they're working, they're in church groups, and now they're taking college courses on top of it. You start thinking about the demands on their time, and their life is just not set up to take some of that. And we've seen some of that here, where kids are getting into college level classes, and they're not doing well. And that is kind of a common theme, is it is easier to get in those classes. These kids are on high school lives, they're on high school schedules and demands, and outside of school especially. And so we got to be really careful about, is this something, it's not about being able to do the work, but can they just do it where it's not this overburdened, overwhelming experience, because the last thing I want to do is have to be a negative experience. That's completely opposite of our goal. So we just got to be really thoughtful, and we are as well. We have a rubric that we kind of follow to see kids are really, it's an appropriate fit. But you as parents are probably the best judge of that, because you live the life outside of school, and you know your child in terms of their stress level, their coping skills, develop the kind of the demands on their
Now, the opposite side of that is true too, that I remember, it was being here so long, I remember 15, 17 years ago, how many students would come to me and want to graduate early. And I understood why. There wasn't much to offer them. So that's where we built up a lot of programs to a high level, where now there's such an advantage to stay here, whether you're getting free college credits through enrollment, or AP classes, or articulation agreements we've got in place with all our current education classes. There's a lot of benefits to just building up the stress. We had a student last year graduate, she had 60 college credits. The year before that, I had 2 girls, both had 32 college credits. We paid for it.
Can I just break back down a little bit and talk more specific? So for the new tech, we offer credits before for geodesign.
Geodesign,
Yeah.
yeah.
We talked about landscape, we can go watch now, how are we replacing that? Is
That one, that's the one I have to be, I'm going with Lansing Community College.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the only ones right now that are open to a direct credit opportunity.
For this year?
No. They're hoping to have it in place for 14, 15.
Clary was.
So what happens to the kids who are currently in that class and who are frustrated to the death?
In the college algebra class? There's nice class?
Yeah, it's now you got them in a situation where you gave them this expectation, they're doing the work for that, and they're not getting it.
You got to keep in mind, all that's out of our control. We did not get rid of Clary. Clary chose to leave, and that was very disappointing for us. And as Jim said, and I've been learning myself in these short words of being superintendent, it's very difficult to get universities to get something to replace it as quick as we would like. And it's a great class. I mean, to us, yes, the college credit, we understand the importance, but more so, the learning that's happening in class is still at a high level. And what the kids are walking out with is really going to pay dividends for them down the road. We hear you. I mean, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but Clary chose to leave. Very disappointing. Once again, it's an accreditation issue, whatever. We're not sure if that's really what was going on. But it's not as easy just to get another college to come in and join and sit in and offer college credit. And it was a long process to get clarity in there. Steve worked a long time to try to make that happen.
And even with Lansing Community College, they're looking at classes that are pre-calculus and above. I know they wouldn't do it like a geo class. It's not like
So the juniors who are in geodesign now could be taking this Lansing class for math for their senior year and get some college credit out of that,
Yeah.
or at least a college.
If everything goes the way it should, and Lansing Community College jumps on board and completes the next year, yeah.
person I'm working with.
So you geodesign, it could be a different class.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. I'm quite certain it wouldn't be.
So my question is like, being a student in that class is a college level learning, and it's super hard. I guarantee like 4 hours of work for that every night. And I feel like we're not getting anything out of it. Like I understand we're getting like people learning out of it, but if it's a college level class, I feel like we should be getting like something out of it, like an honors credit or something, or the workload should be lower because we're not getting it.
It's a legitimate point.
And this is coming.
It's the first time someone brought it up.
Yeah, it is the first time.
No one's ever said that.
That's what like all 60 kids in that class are thinking right now. We're all like, oh my god, this is insane. I can't do this. I'm not getting it.
Those scholarships they got from Cleary, were they any good at any other college then?
No.
So that's, yeah.
No. That is a misnomer, and this happens all the time. A lot of credits, regardless of whether it's Pinckney, it's mostly for the college rigor experience. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Now, you're looking at different when you're going to U of M beat program or something of that sort. But a lot of the programs,
If you went to Cleary, they would have been.
they go there, and we found that out too. We were just going to Cleary because kids were going, they're getting frustrated because they didn't count for SWAT anywhere. And we're like, really? And so we were already kind of contemplating whether or not we want to continue down that road. Right.
There's it's called a macro agreement. It's the admissions offices within the state. Those are the credits you want to go after. If it's a macro agreement, then that's accepted by any school, pretty much.
And that's how it should be advertised then, so kids aren't expecting, okay, I get college credits, but they're not going to, they don't know that they're not going to be accepted anywhere. And that's what these kids need to know when they're going into this program, if that's all they're interested in.
Right.
I heard from a number of community college students, that even some of the stuff on the macro agreements isn't necessarily even taken anymore by you.
I actually heard that from parents. Over the summer.
Can you repeat it?
That the macro agreements are not necessarily being recognized by state, for example, like a U of M. It's supposed to be. That's what agreement means.
And talking to the gentleman from U of M last week, people tend to have the perception that if I take college credits, I'm going to go to college and almost start like as a sophomore and finish early. That's generally not the case. Colleges want you there for 4 years. And now that more and more kids are getting dual enrollment credits, they are actually tightening up their rules and what they're allowing because they don't want kids only there for 2 years. They're in it to make money, remember? And so when kids are only there for 2 years, they're not making money.
Taking it to an extreme.
So they're really starting to limit what they accept.
U of M Ann Arbor just started accepting U of M Flint credits. And they're part of the same system.
Right.
That was like a big political goal that they had,
But the rules are changing, so we're kind of keeping up and learning, and every kind of university does it, they do things differently. And that's kind of the hard thing is we're kind of talking, and one school does this, and they say this, and it's hard for us to kind of transfer all the information because we're trying to get it. We hear one thing here, and go to another meeting here, another thing here, and trying to really get our arms wrapped around what's the game that we need to play in order to get our kids what they need.
The recruitment thing that was done is trying to get kids in this program was direct enrollment. Now we're hearing that and it shift to dual enrollment over direct.
No, I'm doing both. I'm pursuing both.
Considering both plans, I don't hear them as option as an open direction to do the dual. At least the dual.
The dual I can put in place fairly quickly.
Right.
But the direct credit, we have no control over that.
That's for next
That's
year.
only as if they're willing to do it. I can't put any, I have no leverage to make any university do that.
And if you're about the dual enrollment option, then most students who get in the program will defer to the dual enrollment option during the school day if they intend to get out of the direct options. That's what they came in.
Well, naturally, in the letter that I sent out to the parents, I said that that's still an option. Students have the legal right to dual enroll. It's difficult. What's that? No. I said the letter I sent out back in end of August, maybe. talking about this same issue, that all students in Michigan could dual enroll at a post-secondary institution. This is more difficult here because just geographically, you're not close to Eastern or Washington or Lansing, or Schoolcraft. We did have two students last year go all the way to Schoolcraft College every day, for a particular class that they want.
Right.
So it's difficult to pull it off. And most students, they're so involved in different activities, it's hard for them to give up their time. It's, the schools that I've talked to that are most successful with dual enrollment, they have a neighboring post-secondary that they partner with directly. And that tends to work out really well. We just don't have that. Yeah.
So I get that we don't get much out of this class, but now we have this problem, we have this college level class, we're not getting anything from it, or we're working our butts on for the class, we're not getting anything from it. And I'm still stuck on what we're gonna do about that.
I would say that in all 3 years that we've run geodesign, at this time of year, kids are stressed out because the AutoCAD program is pretty labor intensive to get a hold of. But I think by December, I don't hear any of those gripes in past years. And I think we have some parents here whose kids have been through it. And it's, once you get past that CAD hurdle, it's no more difficult than a traditional high school class.
I think part of the struggle of the geodesign thing is like going into it, you're hearing about how we're not necessarily going to get, even if we did get college credits, they wouldn't be accepted in most places. But going into it, most of us, I'm pretty sure we knew that going into it. But the recognition that we did get college credit, even if it's not going to be accepted at the university, that's sort of what we're talking about.
You don't have any control over it.
Yeah, we just, I know, I understand. No, I understand. We were just looking for something, maybe like making it an AP credit or something. Okay, we're just thinking like.
The AP, all your AP classes are governed by what's called the College Board, and they dictate the curriculum, they dictate the textbook, they dictate how it's taught, when it's taught. It's not something our teachers make up an AP class.
I can't see this.
We have to adopt it into every class. And we have to go through an audit process every year.
Well, I'll talk to her around the corner. I can't see who it is, but hi there. I hear you. And I think you guys get a legitimate beef and understanding, and it's a good question. It's not something that we're going to be able to kind of give you an answer that you want to hear right now. I think talking to the teacher, talking to Mr. Jerome.
You raised a good question.
Mr. Darger is right about AP classes you just can't assign an AP classes. I don't know. You bring up some good points, but what I want to do is I don't want to use this time to kind of try to problem solve that, because I think we need to kind of sit down and really talk with the teacher and talking, but I appreciate you bringing it up, because it is something. You guys are working hard, and understand and bringing up the point that you're going in thinking you're going to get this. And we were very frustrated when this is kind of starting to break down a little bit and clear it out. And once again, it's not an excuse, it's just something that we had no control over. But the key is, I know Jim was on the phone with Lansing Community College over the summer, right away making phone calls, because we had early August, we're like, we need to try to get some things in place. We spent a whole day.
And actually, the person
meeting with it,
I have to work with the coordinator, he was on the side.
Right.
So he didn't really even get back to me until like the middle of September.
So I want you to leave here knowing that we're going to take what your question, your concerns, and we sit down and let's hash it out and see what are the possibilities. So you feel like, okay, we got the recognition and people understand what we did and the work that we had put into this class. Okay? Are you okay with that?
Great, there's been a question over here.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think that with the college credit thing, it's a disappointment not to get it. But you are doing the work. And you can parlay that with your college of choice. When you're talking to them, you can tell them that you come from this program, you did this, and if they want to contact Pinckney High School and talk to whoever about it, and say, this was college level work that I was doing.
It doesn't work that way.
It does work that way.
Well, once again, this conversation is bigger than just that. That is an important piece, but I think we're going to be approaching 8 o'clock. I want to respect everybody's classes. We will take it. We got a meeting tomorrow, actually, at the secondary principals. So we can start that conversation there tomorrow morning.
So are we so the students in this class this year, are we guaranteed any solution to this for our credits for this semester and next semester, or will it just be like a geodesign class, or?
Credits such as high school credit?
Yeah, my question is there going to be any solution
talking about your graduating class, or that's your design.
Right there now.
Okay, no, there isn't.
So is there an alternative for these kids in this class?
We can't provide an alternative for college credit. We can't just,
No, they don't mean for college
Right.
credit because
But
those
that's-
are the math and the
let's back up, but
rest.
that's what I said, we're going to take, we have to brainstorm that, I don't know. There could be, I'm not gonna say no, but I think that's a conversation we as a team and the experts and maybe even working with New Tech Network saying, okay, you know, we have Julia here, she heard the concerns, what are our options? All right, so that's the best I can do. Right now, that's a guarantee I'm gonna tell you, is we're gonna follow up and think about what can we do with the kids.
Yeah, because a lot of these kids who took this class, they gave up other classes that they couldn't take because they took that block of time.
Right.
Like she couldn't take her Spanish and is now taking it online. And was one of the 3 students who signed up for the college class. So her whole schedule this semester has become a nightmare.
And your frustration is justified, I get
You
that.
know,
But-
because so here you're taking kids who have excelled and done very well and have worked hard, and you are discouraging them.
Ma'am, we partner with organizations that if they choose to leave us, it's just
I
plain.
get that,
Well, I
but
know.
I'm just trying to get you to understand.
Oh, I do.
You should see that in some of the students who are doing the hard work, who are excelling, and these are that group of parents and students. And something should be looked at beyond this here and now for these kids.
So we're gonna wrap this conversation up, because I can sense some people are getting frustrated, because I know we're running out of time. So once again, one thing I'm gonna guarantee you is that we are gonna follow up, and we're gonna have a conversation about what are our options. I'm not gonna sit here and say, yes, we're gonna do something, because I just don't know. But please know that, I understand, I get it. And you have a right to feel the way you do.
I
Yeah,
understand.
I mean, I understand, you know, people are in debt and there's a deficit, and, you
Yeah.
know, we get it. We know you guys are doing the best you can with what you have.
Excuse me, some of us have to leave, and I'd really like to hear about the internship stuff. So who do I follow up with? Mr. Jerome? You? Okay. All right, great,
Well,
thank
are we
you.
ready, maybe we can move on to the next?
Yeah.
So,
The original plan for graduates of New Tech to get the New Tech endorsement was 12 college credits and a 40-hour internship. Since we don't have the direct credit option with Cleary for this year, the class of 2014 needs 6 college credits and a 40-hour internship. The 6 college credits can be attained, most of them attained them in geodesign last year because the current seniors that were juniors in geodesign last year got those 6 credits through Cleary. They could also be obtained through dual enrollment, which we have several kids doing, or AP courses as well. And then the 40-hour internship is just them pursuing a field of their choice, something that they're interested in, and they have the freedom to basically choose what they want. They are coming up with a plan with some business leader, if it's at a auto body place, or if it's at a doctor's office, or if it's at a construction site, or a lawyer, whatever they're interested in being, and setting that up. We're working on getting a packet out to them. We need to get some language in there about liability and waiver and parent signature stuff, kind of more legal stuff in there, just because that's the world we live in nowadays. We can't ride a bike without a waiver nowadays, I don't think. So as soon as we get that to them, as soon as we get that done, we'll get that in the hands of the students. We have several students who have already done it. We pulled the senior class a couple weeks ago, and 42% of the seniors have already done it. Another 18% have started or have a solid plan, so that leaves about 40% that still need to come up with something. So we're going to get that package to them as soon as possible, but they also don't need to wait. If they have an idea, they can run it by me, and we can get started on that even without the packet. As soon as we get that to the seniors, then we're going to give that to the juniors as well, so that they have a year and a half, and then probably shoot for giving it to the sophomores in the spring, because we really don't want freshmen and sophomores doing internships. One, logistically, it's a headache because many of them aren't driving. 2, maturity-wise, they're not at the same place that a 17-year-old is, and it's also something that, you know, their likes and their desires for what they want to do with their future change by the hour in the high school. And so doing an internship, when you think you want to be a firefighter as a freshman and by a senior you want to be a doctor, it didn't do you much good to spend 40 hours shadowing a firefighter. So that's the internship piece, and it's supposed to take place outside of the school day. There will be a packet, and the packet basically is their proposal, some forms for you to sign, an evaluation form for the supervisor of their internship, and then a demonstration. In May, we have Student Achievement Day here at the high school, and they will have a short presentation about what they did and what they learned. The whole goal, I mean, we had 16 of our kids do internships with Lowry over the summer. Lowry is a computer company here in Brighton, and 13 of our kids 2 years ago did it. They expanded that to 16 this past year, and the president of Lowry said it best the other night, we don't want these kids stuffing envelopes or filing things in a file cabinet. We want them doing something. You know, one of our students created a spreadsheet for all the different tablets that exist on the market. Lowry has computer solutions, so companies like GM or someone call up Lowry and say, hey, we're buying 1,000 tablets, we need them to do this, this, and this, what should we go with? We had one of our students that created a spreadsheet with every different spec on every different tablet on the market, and then the Lowry salespeople can, when someone calls up and says it needs to have GPS, they click and the 10 of them that have GPS, it needs to have a camera, the 5 of them that have GPS and a camera come up, and so they can do stuff. So the things our kids did are well beyond sweeping floors or filing stuff in a file cabinet somewhere. They're doing stuff that is really being used by some of these other companies. And that's just one example. The Lowry one has been one of our biggest partnerships, but other kids have done internships in all kinds of different companies, most of them around the area. Questions about the internship piece?
You said for 2014 class that there's 6 credit hours and
40-hour internship.
What about this class of 2015?
That is kind of contingent on what we get in place in terms of direct enrollment. My contention is I don't want to require anything more than we can offer within the traditional path. Because yes, we have AP, yes, we have dual enrollment, but not every kid is ready to take AP courses. So I don't think it's fair to tell a kid that maybe he's getting a C in his high school courses to take AP Chem and set him up for failure just because he wants the new tech endorsement. This isn't graduation. They can graduate whether they complete the internship or not. This is to get the new tech endorsement along with the graduation. So we don't know yet. It's contingent on how many credits we can get, if we can get stuff through LCC or any other university. Does that make sense?
So to get the new tech endorsement, you have to get 12 credits no matter what sometime.
No, we got that down to 6, and Maverick's already down in computer design.
Then you have to just get us 40
40 hours,
hours.
and he's already at 20 or so.
Well, he has like 12 minutes.
I got close.
Cool. 15, so about 25 to go. And so, yeah, he needs to get those extra 25 hours sometime before May.
Yeah, I sent an email about going over what the capital time. Because there's one internship wasn't even panning out, so we have another option.
Okay.
So now I can tell them, this one person that's thinking of being an internship sponsored one, what do I tell the people that are considering an internship? I mean, it's like, who do I,
When the packet is done, you can just hand me the packet. And
We're
so
talking
now
about-
I can.
It's been somewhat unstructured, so we're trying to have a structure, a system in place.
well, it said you don't have to wait for the capital.
So, I mean, if you're looking to just, I can answer your email, or I can talk to you afterwards.
And on Wednesday, November 6th, we have the Greater Brighton Chamber of Commerce, 30 to 40 business folks in the area are coming in to showcase their businesses and for our students to showcase their skills. So they'll have an opportunity to give tours. We're asking that they design design some business cards for themselves so that they can hand out and try and network with those potential business partners that they might be able to do an internship with. We have Elena from Lowry, who you saw congratulating and talking about each of our students in the presentation as you were walking in from our Lowry night last week or a couple weeks ago. And she's going to be here presenting what our 16 students did for Lowry in order for the 30, 40 business folks to start brainstorming and think about ideas of how they can use our new tech students in internship opportunities as well. So we're trying to provide the opportunity for students. So if any of your students don't know exactly what they want to do, then that would be a good opportunity for them to come and we can release them from their other classes. It's 8 o'clock to 9:30 on Wednesday, November 6th. You're welcome to come in as well. It's going to be right in here. We're going to have a little breakfast and then our presentations, and then the students will be giving tours throughout New Tech during that time. So we're pretty excited about that. Any other questions about internship? Okay. I'm going to go right into student achievement, and I know that you're tired and have a long day, so I'm just going to be really brief. I am super, super qualified to do this job.
And it says it on her certification, super.
I purposefully, 10 years ago, sought out Pinckney High School because of its technology background and word on the street. I have been in higher education, post-secondary. I was one of the original 7 members for Western Governors University, which was in 1998. We established that, and it was the first entirely online university in the nation. So I worked with Open University out of London, who is the oldest online university. Worked with those folks, brought together 17 governors' staffs in 17 different states, including Guam, and worked with all those time zones and all those folks to develop curriculum, rubrics, cross-matriculation between Middle State College and NCA. So I have lots of experience from the college level, getting the students in to the college level, and creating places for them to get remediation, skills that they needed, Cornell method of note-taking, test-taking skills, all the different things like ACT prep, SAT prep, GRE prep, LSAT, the legal GRE type thing. So a lot of experience with that. Worked at eCollege, was the director of their really, 250 folks reported to me. I was in charge of all of the states, east side of the Mississippi River, traveled throughout. I helped colleges and universities set up their online programs. My largest client was Eastern Michigan University. We had 143 online courses with Eastern. They brought in us, they were a huge revenue stream for us. And so because of that, I was in Colorado, Denver, Colorado. I'm Michigan born and bred, Charlotte. I got my master's degree out at the University of Denver, Harvard Northwest. So that's how I got involved in that. And then got transferred as a loan executive for a 3-year contract with Eastern Michigan University to help them develop their programs with OSHA, FMEA, all their different quality controls, Sigma, Six Sigma, all those types of things, working with GM and Ford. So I feel very confident and very excited when I met my husband 13 years ago and looking for a place that would incorporate technology and all of my skills and be able to help students. Plus I had taught prior to that at the high school level. So I was able to come back, and that's why I emailed Jim and Rick, because okay, this is me. I want to do this. I want to help with these students. And my other background is curriculum design, instructional frameworks, and so that brings me to the student achievement piece. That's where I provide a value add for the students there, making sure that, one, we're following the mission, of New Tech High, technology, collaboration, and community. Everything we need to do, everything we do needs to continue that mission and move us forward. And so it's my job to make sure that our programs in place are fulfilling that mission, and that our professional development is in place, student success items are in place, making sure that ECHO is available. ECHO is a great spot for them to get their agendas, they get their homework information, their project information, all the rubrics are there, and you can access it as well. So if anyone's having any problems with that, we have some forms over there that just kind of go through it step by step, and grab one of those on your way out, and you can make more if you need to. All right, the other piece that's been really exciting for me is meeting Julia Leslie and working with her, who has similar background student learning, teacher professional development, and their learning as well. And so we're making sure that we have things in place for our teachers. When I went to the Leadership Summit for New Tech High last week, Matt and I went, we were thought partners there. One of the first sessions that I went to was distributed leadership. And that's exactly what Rick and Jim were talking about, was that need for distributing the leadership and to take and have key leaders involved. So we have key leaders involved. We have Stacy Trozen, who's a teacher. She is our literacy facilitator. She's been trained at the national level to assist with that. And we have folks that are working with college readiness assessments, and Julia's going to talk a little bit about that and how we're making sure that our students are ready to be successful and skilled when they go to college. So I'm going to pop this up and let Julia talk about that.
All right, and I think I might be one of the closers here, so. All right, so my job with New Tech Network is to support New Tech teachers and their leaders in essentially developing a New Tech school that enables students to graduate college and career ready. And so I've been supporting Pinckney New Tech since the day it began, and supporting its teachers and leaders, and I've had a great privilege of spending time in classrooms and talking with these children. So it's a little bit humbling, to be honest, to be here tonight. So I want to give you a sense of what your children's teachers are thinking about on a regular basis, and what hopefully you're going to hear your students, your children talking more and more about as the year progresses. And so last year, as we entered the school year, I spent a fair amount of time with Steve and with teacher leaders like Matt and Chris Ozias and Rich Lamb, and thinking about if we were to do something collectively that we got better and better at over time throughout the year, that we focused on together as educators, what do we believe that thing is that would get kids better and better in their outcomes? Acknowledging that, last summer was the first set of ACT data that came out, the first junior class ever. And some of the data was just slightly below the campus average. And that wasn't something that the New Tech team wanted to see. And acknowledging that this has been an innovative 3 years that they've been learning too. One of the big goals was we want to see that data look different a year from now. We want to be telling a different story. And so last year, teachers spent time with me and together getting better and better at teaching critical thinking. What is critical thinking? What does it look like in action? When did we critically think at our best, and what were the conditions that led to that? And so they spent time developing projects, and all of their projects in service of getting better and better at teaching critical thinking so that your children could be better critical thinkers over time. Was this a direct result in the raise in ACT scores this year? We don't know, but we'd like to believe strongly that it did have an impact. Okay? So ACT scores went up in the following junior class, and we anticipate only seeing that grow. And this year, what we hope to hear your children talking about when they come home is that they're having to write at a college level in every single class that they take. And how they're going to be doing that is, you're probably familiar at this time, but maybe not, that what makes New Tech schools incredibly special is that your students are being taught and graded upon things, including content and all of your state and national standards, but also 21st century skills that employers and colleges say that they want and they absolutely need in high school graduates. Those things include these 5 outcomes. And what your children's teachers are going to get better and better at doing this year is scaffolding knowledge of thinking and written communication. And what that's going to look like is in a series of at least 2 to 3 projects in every single course this year, your children will be doing a written product, an individual written assessment of both knowledge of thinking and written communication in that class's discipline. That is an authentic way in which people in that field in the world write. Your children will be doing that as part of a natural entity of projects across the year. Okay? The rubrics that they're using, that teachers are using not only to learn themselves how to teach better, but how to develop your students better, have been co-designed with New Tech Network, our national organization, along with Stanford, another nonprofit organization that does national work like we do, And those rubrics essentially say, this is what your children should be able to do by this grade if they are on track to be college and career ready and stay there. Okay, and so that is a social assessment that your teachers, the children's teachers, are going to be using to offer your children feedback on, here's a college and career ready standard, here's where your writing is, here's how we're going to get you closer and closer to that. And so ultimately, I think something that, this is the last slide, something really exciting this year at Pinckney at large is the fact that the staff gets to learn together 80 minutes every Friday. And that is the type of work that Pinckney New Tech teachers are going to be doing on a regular basis as part of that time. Is looking at your children's work and saying, how is this work measuring up to a college-ready standard, and what do we need to do about it to make sure that that's happening? And that's what I get to do with your teachers and your children's teachers.
And for example, she'll be here on the 18th.
That's right, next Friday.
During their work.
Any questions about that?
Well, as we bring things to a close, first off, I just want to say thank you and appreciate your patience. And I want to say thank you and appreciate you for sharing your concerns and your frustration, because I think that those things are going to help us think through. And as I said, we are in transition. We believe strongly in the model that we've put together. There is going to be some bumps in the road because we're structuring a new model, and not everything that we've had in the past is in place here. But doesn't mean they're not working hard to get everything, like I said, not only to where it was, but our job is to continue making this a model program. This program's not going anywhere. And people are like, oh, you're a deficit district and New Tech's going to go away. No, it's not. It's not a financial drain right now in the district, and we have the staff to support it, and we're going to continue making it flourish and grow. We have some learning to do ourselves with our partnership with New Tech and folks like Julia, and there's even others out there at WISD and our own ISD in Livingston County. We have a lot of support that trickles out of our school district. So what I ask is that you continue to keep the open lines of communication. If you have concerns, questions, as the year progresses, do not hesitate to contact these folks here, contact myself. If we feel like, gosh, we need to pull people together to have another kind of conversation, we're more than willing to do that. Because your feedback and what you're hearing, what you're feeling is very important to us, because that's going to help in shape. And that's really what got us here today, is what we're hearing from you folks. And this doesn't have to be the last of these type of conversations. All right, so I appreciate your time and energy this evening, and wish you all the best, and have a great rest of the night. Thank you.
How's it going, gang?
Good, how are you? Good.
Convenience over there.
It's fine. So, nothing special.